Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to episode 2 of Lemme Talk My Talk. I am your host, Rob Shaw. So let's circle back to some things from episode 1. Can't change the Derek Jeter vote, but I did receive some interesting feedback on people who thought it might be okay that a voter didn't found him as a Hall of Famer, but used their vote to try and give somebody else a vote. Like I said, that's a no for me. I didn't like that. And then the suspensions from Kansas and Kansas State, their brawl, melee, fisticuffs, whatever you want to call it, those came down from the Big 12. I thought the Big 12 came down a little soft, but that's just my opinion. Sylvia D'Souza received 12 games. David McCormack received 2 games. Those are Kansas Jayhawks. For the K-State Wildcats, James Love received 8, and Antonio Gordon received 3. James Love was already redshirting this year, so my guess is that he's probably going to have to sit the first 8 of the 2021 season. And as far as D'Souza, I said in the last episode that I'd be surprised if we saw him in a Kansas uniform again, because I thought he has been more trouble than he's worth, with his uncle / guardian taking money from Adidas to get him to Kansas, bringing the FBI investigation in. And then this incident, apparently I was wrong. The Big 12 thought 12 games was enough. He's a bit player right now. He was a highly rated recruit. He's not performing like that. He's averaging about 3 points and 3 rebounds in limited minutes. So this might just be a way to cut him from the rotation if I was Bill Self. And then David McCormack, he got 2 games. He is a bigger part of the rotation. He's averaging 7 points and about 5 rebounds, playing behind Azubuike. But that's just catching up on what we talked about last episode. Let's get into some new topics. Let's start with an era is over in New York. Derek Jeter just went into the Hall of Fame. Eli Manning retired. And those are the last 2 dudes to win in New York. And those are the only 2 dudes to win in my lifetime, really. I'm 30, and it's been the Yankees and the Giants. The Knicks haven't won anything. The Jets haven't won anything. The Nets were the best team in New York when they were in New Jersey. I saw a tweet from somebody, I can't remember who. I'd really love to shout them out if I could, about the New York Mount Rushmore of the last decade or so. Be prepared, man. It's a nasty list. It's nasty. You have Eli, who won 2 Super Bowls. You have Jeter, who greatest shortstop of all time, should have been a unanimous Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Yankee legend, 5 World Series, I believe. And then you have Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire. Ugh, disgusting. Just nasty, nasty work. They didn't win shit. But New York has been so trash that they might be the right answers. Nasty, nasty work. I think it's time that we include New York and New Jersey together and bring Jason Kidd in, because on those Amari and Melo Knicks teams, he was a part of those. And when the metropolitan area was having success, it was, or basketball-wise, it was the Nets. And Jason Kidd was leading the New Jersey Nets. I say we put J. Kidd on the Mount Rushmore of New York for the last decade. And then I guess you still have to put Melo, because he did come here, and he was the best player. And this isn't an easy place to be the best player, or an easy place to come and be a star. And Amari took the same burden on his shoulders, but when Melo got here, Melo immediately became the best player. So my decade New York team is Jeter, Eli, Melo, and Kidd. I'd love to hear you guys's. And the second part of that tweet was, who is it for the next decade or so? Maybe we shouldn't do decade. Maybe we should do since... We'll go my lifetime. My show, my rules. Last 30 years. Coming up, immediately Saquon Barkley comes to mind. This time, I'm not cheating because Kevin Durant is a Brooklyn Net, and that is part of New York. So Saquon and hopefully Durant are 2. And then I need you guys' help filling out the last 2. So tweet me at Shaw's Law Podcast or leave it in the comments. Who is your all New York Mount Rushmore for the past 30 years? And who is it for the next decade? So far, I have Saquon Barkley and Kevin Durant. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Eli Manning won in New York, and just like Melo, he's somebody that chose to come here. Like, his dad told the Chargers, and forced his way into New York because it was a bigger market. But this is a market that will, like, spit you out if you're not built for this. And he won. And not only did he win, he showed up weekly. Every week. Iron Man shit. Like, yo, if I can walk, I can play. Most consecutive starts from a quarterback. He was with the shits. Like, he wanted to be in New York, and that's super duper important because winning in New York is like, it's almost like on a weighted scale. Like, you win 2 in New York, that's like 2.5 in a smaller market. That might even be 3 in a small market. So you gotta respect that. So salute to Eli, salute to Derek Jeter. It's an end of an era in New York as far as winning, but hopefully our candidates for the new New York Mount Rushmore, new New York, tongue twister, can bring a couple chips our way. All right, and this is a segment that I'm going to try and do where if I see fun things on Twitter and I remember to screenshot them, I want to talk about them. This one comes from NBA writer Josh Ellsbury. The tweet is the Knicks taking Knox over Michael Porter Jr. when they had every reason to swing big feels like an especially tragic blunder. I see some people killing him. Well, I am here to tell those people, God damn, are you guys wrong? This tweet is 100% spot on. Like, could not be more correct. It just could not be more correct. Let's take a hop in the time machine. Let's go way, way, way back to the Michael Porter Jr. draft, which isn't really way, way, way back. It's 2 years ago. At this time, the Knicks have the unicorn, Kristaps Porzingis. Granted, Porzingis is injured. Oh my God, it's literally too good for the Knicks that it fell apart. And my one allegiance in sports is to Kentucky basketball. So taking Kevin Knox should have made me so happy. But my allegiance is to Kentucky basketball, and I watched Kevin Knox. And for a year at Kentucky, he wasn't as good as he was supposed to be. But I had inside information before that. My little brother, Jordan, lived in North Carolina for a year. There was a big tournament down there. Kevin Knox ranked 6, 8 or whatever in his high school class his senior year. I'm a Kentucky fan. Jordan's a Duke fan. Kentucky and Duke are in, I almost said bidding war. Oh, you can't say that with the NCAA. Are in a recruiting war over him. Jordan goes and sees him. super disappointed, talking about people in the crowd are saying, what was he say? Damn, bruh, he ranked 8th in the country? He ain't that good. That's my North Carolina accent. Shout out to the fam down there. Like, he was so bad when Jordan saw him in person. Jordan was just off him. He was like, yo, he's not really that dope. Like, we had the conversation. He was like, yo, he needs to work on his ball handling. Like, he couldn't get to the rack and, like, use his next level athleticism versus high school kids. I don't know how that's going to translate to college. Lo and behold, the ball handling is still an issue for him to this day. And then, so, long story short, we get Kentucky. He goes to Kentucky. And I knew off rip we were in trouble, because if Duke and Kentucky are fighting for a recruit and I win the recruiting, Jordan's supposed to be sick. The minute he wasn't sick, I knew Kevin Knox wasn't going to be what I needed, because I trust my brother's ability to evaluate basketball players. So if he comes to Kentucky and Jordan's not pissed off about it, we're in trouble. So when the Knicks snatch Kevin Knox up at 8, I believe, I'm mad because I just think you take Michael Porter Jr. in that spot. But I was always higher on Michael Porter Jr. than most people, even after the injury, simply because when I evaluated him, that dude could hoop. So you have Kristaps Porzingis hurt, probably going to miss the next year. You have Michael Porter Jr., who won't give you his medical stuff, but worst case scenario, he misses the whole year, similar to how he did in Denver. So now you have Porzingis out for the year, and you have Michael Porter Jr. out for the year. You guys are going to be really, really bad. Like, terrible. So boom, you're bad, you suck. Now you add another lottery pick. So now you have, and then you guys did good in that draft in getting Mitchell Robinson. So you have Mitchell Robinson, Porzingis, MPJ, and another lottery pick. A high lottery pick because Porzingis and MPJ missed. That's a really fly core. And when you've been bad for as long as the Knicks, and then but the Garden still keeps on filling up, like ticket prices don't have to drop, you can swing for the fences and you can just do a tear down rebuild because people come to the games. Like, Knicks fans have never turned their back on you as bad as James Dolan has been. They've been mad at Dolan, but they've never turned their back on the franchise. So why not swing for the fences and get like a full rebuild going? Like, the real teardown, and you build around Michael Porter Jr., Kristaps Porzingis. We're talking about 2 6'10 plus shooters. Like, Porter Jr., 6'10 with a swammy. Porzingis, the unicorn, 7'3, hand cannon. You have 2 giant shooters in the Garden. You have Mitchell Robinson blocking shots. And then you take a swing on a guard with your lottery pick. But, I mean, it is what it is, but I just wanted to say that that's exactly how I would have done it if I was the Knicks. I thought that in the moment. I still continue to think that 2.5 years later. So, that's that. Now that we've talked about the Knicks, we can get into Zion Williamson. He looked really good in his debut. 4 for 4 from 3. We can't expect him to shoot like that every game. In his next game, he was 0 of 1. Some quick math from me, not a math specialist, says he's shooting 80% from deep. Don't think that will continue. I do think he's a little out of shape, but not terribly out of shape. Eventually, he'll get into better shape. It's just that he hasn't played in 3 or 4 months. His body looks like it could stand to lose like anywhere between 15 and 20 pounds. I really, really wanted him to catch a dunk because I just feel like the Smoothie King Center would have erupted. but he's fun. The NBA ratings are down. He's something that I didn't look at the numbers, but I'm sure the ratings spiked in his debut. He has another game that'll be on national TV coming up this Sunday. He's fun to watch. That Pelicans team is fun to watch. I believe Justin D. Young on Twitter noted that the Pelicans were starting 5 former 5-stars and 5 McDonald's All-Americans. I scoured my brain to think, when was the last time that happened, or could I name another team? It clearly doesn't happen a lot, and I couldn't think of any. If anybody else can think of a team that started 5 5-stars and 5 McDonald's All-Americans all at once, I'd be interesting to hear. For those that are wondering, the lineup was Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Derek Favors. So this has been episode 2 of Lemme Talk My Talk. Please subscribe on YouTube. Leave comments. So the things I'm looking for in the comments this time are your New York Mount Rushmore of the last 30 years, your New York Mount Rushmore for the next decade, and can you name me a team besides the Pelicans that has started 5 former 5-star recruits and McDonald's All-Americans? I've been Rob. Thanks for listening. Much love.